Hey guys, Taria from urbansketchingworld.com here. I wanted to carry on from the watercolour mixing chart I showed you last week to demonstrating a painting using this particular set of paints. For those of you who haven't seen the last video, I made a watercolour mixing chart with this Daniel Smith essential set, and we saw which colours made bright, vibrant secondary colours and which made earthier tones. So I gave a brief overview of the split primary system and theory, and I also showed you another swatching exercise you can do in the back of your sketchbook. So I do have a link to that video in the corner of this video, so please do check it out if you're interested. So there are a few things I didn't cover in the last video, like how to get nice neutral tones, or browns and stone colours, or dark greys and blacks. And what happens if we mix all three colours together, because in the last video we were just doing sets of two colours. As mentioned before, this Daniel Smith essential set is such a great set to get started with high quality paint and also to start learning how to mix colours. So I really recommend it, and get it on the Christmas list. I've got a link to it in the description below. Of course it is an affiliate link, so probably earn about 10 cents if you do buy the set. So no compelling reason for me to recommend this other than I think it is a great set for the reasons outlined just now. So I'm going to show you some of the neutrals that can be achieved from mixing different sets of the three primaries together, and then after that I'm going to apply what we've learned from the mixing exercise in order to paint this sketch. So here is the reference image I've chosen for this demonstration, and it's linked in the description below too. It's also pinned to my sketching reference board on Pinterest, so if you're ever short of some ideas or you want to practice and don't know what to sketch, just have a shuffle through this board and I'm sure you'll find some inspiration. So just to be clear, I wasn't amazingly happy with the painting demo that I did in this video, but that's no reflection on the colour mixing. So the important part of this video is the colours we can achieve, not the actual resulting sketch. But you know, I did somewhat maybe rescue it in my own mind by putting in some pen lines. I feel very uncomfortable without pen lines. So as a bit of a bonus, stick around to the end just to see what I did to it to make it better in my eyes. So I am going to mix these colours in a slightly less structured way than making a chart, but this sort of exercise is exactly what I encourage you to do with your own paints. Start mixing some together, keep a note of what you've used. It's such a handy reference to have in the back of your sketchbook, for example. Okay, so I started out by swatching the Pyrrole Scarlet, the New Gamboge and the French Ultramarine, and as you know from the last video, these are the three warm primary colours included in the Daniel Smith essential set. Then I've changed the blue, so I've moved on and I'm doing Pyrrole Scarlet, New Gamboge and Phthalo Blue. Pyrrole Scarlet and New Gamboge are the warm colours, and then I'm adding a cool blue, the Phthalo Blue, just to see what effect that has on the neutral tones you can achieve. So you can see in the first lot of swatches with the warm primaries, I get quite a nice warm browns and warm greys and blacks and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm just doing 3 swatches here, but obviously if you just adjust each colour, you can do probably get quite a lot of variation of the different colours between these 3, but I just decided to do 3 swatches just for demonstration purposes. So with the Phthalo Blue in the mix, it is leaning slightly more towards making some greener neutral shades, so that's quite interesting. And we'll look at this in a minute, but some of the granulation that's coming out of these as well, or should I say like where the pigment separation on some of them, where you can see the original colours sort of shining through, that's like watercolour holy grail right there in my mind anyway, and in lots of other people's minds. It's just, that's why people mix ultramarine and like say a brown, like I don't know, like a burnt sienna or something. That's why people do that to make black. That's why a lot of watercolour artists don't use black out of a tube. they'll mix black, and it's for that exact reason. It just gives such a dynamic colour because the brown and the blue start to separate in areas and it just looks beautiful, and that is one of the magical things about watercolour. So my system generally has been to mix the red and yellow together first and then add in the blue. I certainly think that's a good way to go, especially when you're using the phthalo blue, the cold blue, because it's such a strong colour, so it just really dominates. So it's better to mix the other two colours together first and then just add a little dib-dab of phthalo blue, because it can just go straight to phthalo blue very quickly, and then you're going to end up wasting a lot of paint, basically. So the third lot of swatches I'm doing is Pyrrole Scarlet, and then I've switched to Hansa Yellow Light. So I've switched my yellow, and I'm using French Ultramarine. So I'm using a warm red and a warm blue, and then I'm using the cold yellow, the Hansa Yellow Light. And that's made some nice kind of brown, warm brown tones. And then I move on to Pyrrole Scarlet, Hansa Yellow Light, and then I switch my blue to phthalo blue, even though I've written French Ultramarine down on my chart. That is incorrect. It is actually phthalo blue, and I do correct myself in a minute, later on in the video, because I realise I've put French Ultramarine down for every blue, and that's clearly not correct. This is what lapses in concentration can do to you when you're doing exercises like this, though. It's so easy to just zone out and then think, oh, okay, I've forgotten where I was. So the next set of swatches is Quinadricone Rose, so that's the cold red, the New Gamboge, which is the warm yellow, and then the French Ultramarine, which is the warm blue. And we're getting some nice kind of interesting purpley, browny, black kind of tones. And then I move on to doing the final set, which is Quinadricone Rose, Hansa Yellow Light, so that's the cold red and the cold yellow, and I've written French Ultramarine there, but it's actually phthalo blue. So actually that's the cold set, so the cold red, yellow and blue together. And they make the first swatch there is like quite a nice kind of earthy, turquoisey, browny colour, kind of colour. I really like that. I think I end up using that later on. Because bearing in mind I'm looking at these swatches, and obviously if you create a more of a watery mix, then you're going to get a lighter colour. So I know that I can mix those three colours together, add a bit of water, and then I can get a nice lighter tone. So that's something to bear in mind as well. So there we go. So that's the three sets of primaries mixed together in the various different combinations. Really handy reference chart to have in the back of your sketchbook. And let's move on to applying this information or this knowledge that we've just picked up. Now guys, I'm not any kind of expert in this stuff, this colour mixing stuff. I'm actually just learning this. I knew some of it, but I'm learning this as I go as well, and I'm just sort of sharing what I'm learning with you guys, showing you how you can do this for yourself and then how you can apply it. So I want you to think of this painting I'm doing here as just a study, like you do a study in your sketchbook. It's not meant to be any great work of art, which it certainly doesn't end up as being. It's meant to be like, how can I now take these swatches that I've made and apply them to a real life situation, or to a in this case a photograph, but this kind of information is still going to serve you well when you're out urban sketching as well. I don't know about you guys, but I've always struggled making this kind of stone colour that you're going to see me painting on this painting. And I keep thinking about it, I should maybe buy like a buff titanium kind of colour in a pan, and for convenience maybe that's the answer, but at least you know how you can make that colour. And especially if you want to be a bit of a minimalist sketcher as well, and you do just want like 3 or 6 colours, then you can actually achieve quite a lot from just 3 or 6 colours. So I'm painting in the sky now, and actually this is just I'm not really loving this so already. I'm like, oh god, okay. I think my paper was just super thirsty, maybe it was just really hot in here, but it was just absorbing the water, and I was like, god, this is going to make a complete mess. Like, the paint's drying so quickly. By the way guys, some of you more observant people, regular watchers, might notice I've got a new brush. I've deviated from my my usual 3 brushes that I use all the time. And I think on a recommendation of one of you guys or one of my students, I think I saw that the art shop here does stock Princeton brushes. And I was like, yeah, I've never tried those before. And so this is a Princeton Neptune brush, and it's a flat brush because I wanted a bit of a bigger flat brush. Or have I just bought the exact same size as what I got? No, I've bought the exact same size as what I've already got. That's fine. It's a 1/2 inch flat brush. It's Princeton Neptune. The handle is made out of sea glass, which I just think is just absolutely beautiful. And yeah, I'm just really loving it. It's synthetic, but it's designed to be an alternative to natural hair. So it does hold a lot of water. It's a really good brush. So anyway, I can talk about that in a different time. But yeah, you can see me here. I'm just getting my chart out that I made. It wasn't the one I just did in the video. It was actually one in the back of my sketchbook, just to show you that I have got this in the back of my sketchbook too. And so by using that reference in the back of my sketchbook, I am just figuring out how to make this lovely stone colour that I was talking about just a minute ago. This kind of, I guess, what buff titanium might look like. I've never used that colour before, but I expect this is kind of what it looks like. And then again, using my reference chart to make this kind of really nice, dulled down, turquoisey, bluey green. I don't even know what to call it, but the roof colour is, or the gable, is that the right word? Gable, I think. Gable colour, and the window frame colour and that kind of stuff is just really, really nice. And that's why I picked this photograph, to be honest, from Pinterest. I was scouting around for ages trying to find something that wouldn't be too crazy to draw, not too time consuming, especially if you guys want to try out this. The focus again is getting the colours on, doing the colour mixing, so you don't want to spend like 3 hours drawing it, So I thought this was quite a nice simple scene with some nice kind of strong shapes and stuff. And it also had a really nice mixture of these kind of natural earthy tones that we're trying to achieve with these bright primary colours that we have. So that's why I picked this photo. And you see I didn't draw it on camera because I thought it was just, I didn't want to waste your time doing that. Just really wanted to get to the painting and the mixing side of things. That's the purpose. So again, using the chart just to figure out what my roof colour is, and also just throwing in some wet and wet bits as well, just to give the roof a bit of visual interest. It's not one solid colour, and it can be really fun just to throw in some other pigments, and especially as I had some still mixed up on my watercolour palette from doing the swatching, I was just like, oh okay, well I'll just throw that in. And that's also one of the nice things about just having colours already mixed up on your palette. Don't clean it all the time, just leave stuff on there and just throw it in, and it can be really nice sometimes. So yeah, mixing up some darker colours, just trying to get the dark in the back of the window there, through the window panes, and trying to give the roof tiles a bit more definition. I'm trying to follow some of my own advice, as well as, from other artists, is keeping a lot more detail in the front, in the foreground of the picture, and trying to keep it a bit less busy in the back. And I know we don't have amazing depth of field in this subject matter, but I didn't want to put in too much information in the back of the roof. And even on that stone chimney thing, I was keeping that kind of basic, and trying to put more information into the window and the plants and the front roof tiles. So yeah, I hope this sort of indicates how you can go about using your chart to try and mix the relevant neutral tones that you want, or the earthier tones that you want. This is a really good exercise. I think this is quite a good photo to try it on, so do have a go yourself. As I said, I wasn't like amazingly happy with the outcome, the final painting, but it's not horrible either. And actually, because I didn't really like it that much, I did go back and put some pen lines. I can't help myself. Put some pen lines over the top. I think I only did this painting in this style because, again, I really, really wanted to focus on the colour mixing. I didn't want to focus on the drawing aspect of things, or, the fact that it's like line and wash or anything like that. I just wanted to do pure colour mixing, so that's what I went for. So I know my husband, Duncan, was a bit like, whoa, this isn't your style. I was like, yeah, I know. I just didn't want to lose the message, dilute the message. So yeah, here we go. So a painting made from these bright primary colours. It's quite interesting to see what you can do. I mean, again, I've always struggled making this kind of stone colour and stuff like that, but now I have this chart which I smudged. I'm not the neatest of people. But yeah, now I have this information and I know which colours I can mix to make a convincing stone wall colour or a roof tile colour or whatever. And of course, you know, if these kind of subjects are things you paint a lot and you do a lot of urban sketching where you paint these things, maybe you want these actual colours in your palette and they're what is known as convenience colours so that you don't have to keep mixing them up. But otherwise, I think this is really good information to just find out a bit more about what your paints can do. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Please do go check out urbansketchingworld.com for more information. There's so many posts and articles over there, and I do my best to keep adding them now and again. And also check out the first video in this little couple of videos where I do the watercolour mixing chart and that kind of thing. I hope you have a great day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.